Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McCrae here. First of all, shout out to Frank Riker of the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, who recommended that I do this video because he thought, there might be some people out there that want to know your thoughts, being that you're not a comic book superhero movie kind of nerd. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when it comes to comic book and superhero films, I'm very much the general movie-going audience. I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 of the MCU movies, maybe. I did see Batman v Superman. I did see Man of Steel, but I've never read a comic book in my life. I've never read a Superman comic or a Batman comic or a Spider-Man comic. I've sifted through comics, but I've never... So, I know what they obviously look like, but I've never read a comic. I've never watched an animated series. So my knowledge of superheroes, more specifically Superman, is very 101, very kind of what most people already know. He comes from Krypton. He's got to stay away from kryptonite. He crash lands on Earth, Ma and Pa Kent, the farm, the whole kind of thing that most people know, right? I didn't even know that there was a dog named Crypto until I watched the trailer. I'm like, he's got a dog? I'm like, what? But that's because there's many iterations of the character and different versions and all that kind of stuff. Now, first, let me say this. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he looked the part. He looked like a god. He was regal and mythic, and he just, he was great. He was fine. And I like the 2 films that he was in, but that's a very different type of Superman, a very different version, more adult, more mythic, more dare I say even melancholy. It's more mature audiences, we'll say. And there's nothing wrong with that. But because I'm a 46-year-old man, the Superman movies I grew up with were the Christopher Reeve films. And so when I saw the trailers for this new film, I thought, that it feels like it leans more in that direction, not all the way, but more in that direction. And that's kind of right up my alley. So I'm like, okay, all right, so I went and checked it out. And I gotta say, now, first of all, I knew going in that more knowledgeable superhero fans were saying, the movie is like the most comic booky movie that, they've ever seen. And that it's almost like, sifting through the pages of a comic book come to life. So I was ready for that because the Christopher Reeve films aren't quite that, right? So I was ready for this. And the only thing I was worried about going in from the trailers that it seemed like there were a lot of characters. And I was worried that maybe there was going to be like a Spider-Man 3 thing where there's just too many characters, too much going on. And I have to say, although there were a lot of characters, I never once felt like the focus was taken off of Superman. So that's a positive. So I got to say, I really liked the movie. I really liked it. I did, guys. I thought, it was all the things that people are saying, colorful and bright and hopeful and very much a comic book movie. You jump right into it. And I got to say, I really enjoyed it. Now, again, because I don't know the deep lore and mythology of all the different iterations, there may be, there may be some nuances that I'm missing that people, no, Dave, you're not supposed to like that because technically in comic book 6, issue 3, paragraph 2, page 5, that's not how it works, and all this kind of stuff. Okay. But I don't know any of that. So I just went in, very general movie going audience. I see Superman. I see a bunch of villains. I see Lex Luthor, of course. I see Lois Lane. I'm like, feels like a Superman movie. A lot more going on than the 78 film, but it feels very Superman. And I gotta say, David Cornsweet is a fantastic Superman. He's great. He's handsome as all hell. He's got charm and charisma. He's got a vulnerability and a naivete about him that is very more in line with the Reeve iteration than, say, the Cavill one. And I identify with that iteration a bit more. So I thought he was fantastic. I thought Rachel Brosnahan, I think is how you say her name, she was great as Lois Lane. There's a few moments where I'm like, I kind of feel a little Margot Kidder there. Not quite. She's very much her own thing, but there's a little bit of a little bit of vibes, which was really cool. Mr. Terrific was fun. I didn't even know there was such thing as a Mr. Terrific before I saw the trailers. I'm like, who the hell is that guy? It's Mr. Terrific. I'm like, oh, who's that guy? Green Lantern. Oh, that's what Green Lantern looks like? I thought, well, there's different, versions of Green. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Like, I don't know. Hawk Girl? I thought people were saying Hot Girl. I mean, she is attractive, but I thought people were saying hot girl. And I'm like, there's a character named Hot Girl? No, Dave, Hawk Girl. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, again, general movie going audience, right? I thought they were fine. They were in it, but they didn't take away from the main story. They complemented it, added to it. So you know what? Again, I just wanted to jump on and just say, average movie going guy, Superman, fan from the old days. I really enjoyed it. And I thought Corn Sweat is a terrific Superman. I can't wait to see what they do with him moving forward if they continue on. Hopefully they will. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really did. I'll leave you with this though. As I was sitting watching the movie, and I thought this even before I went and saw the movie because I've been watching some of the interviews, and I gotta say, now maybe this is out in left field, I don't know. But watching David Corn Sweat be interviewed, again, the charm, the magnetic charisma, not like overly so, but there's a subtle sort of, there's a quiet charisma, a quiet charm about him. He's very Superman. But you know who else I think he might be? Our new Indiana Jones. Now, I know that Indiana Jones is a different type of character than Superman, right? Indiana Jones is a little more of a ladies' man, a little more of that Han Solo-y scoundrel kind of, and so I understand that. But David Corn Sweat's an actor, and actors play many different roles. And I don't know, there's something about him. When I look at him, I can imagine the fedora on him. I can imagine the leather jacket. And I'm thinking, now he's a bigger guy than Harrison Ford is, obviously, and was. But there's something, I'm just like, and listen, Harrison Ford's my favorite actor of all time. Indiana Jones, one of my favorite characters of all time. Harrison Ford will always be my Indiana Jones, but there's something about David Corn Sweat, and I'm like, maybe. It's interesting. Hey, if Harrison Ford can play two iconic characters, why not David Corn Sweat? Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McCrae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts on the movie. Try not to give any spoilers, of course, because lots of people still haven't seen it. But are you an average movie-going guy or gal like me? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts on what you thought. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Hey, so shoot me. My name's Dave McCrae. Cheers.